So Pat McAfee does not learn, because Raw started and he was there yeeting. I'm going to tell it straight. He deserves everything he gets. Hello, my friends, all ups and downs from Monday Night Raw with me, the bald idiot Simon Miller. We are a wrestling review show, and you do not need any other wrestling review content. Also, as it is Tuesday, I just want to thank everybody that did come out to the Progress Super Strong Style Weekender. Listen, I lost in the first round, but then I went on to win the essentially loser battle royal, and you know how the deal goes. If you win a battle royal in wrestling, you get a title shot. So damn it, I'm winning my Proteus Championship back. Now let's stop talking about me, and let's talk about Montag Night Raw. Take the finger of power, and we up the downs. But yes, Jey Uso did come out at the start of Raw, and Pat McAfee was yeeting on Al in the announce table, and Jey was like, oh, hi, Logan Paul. You punched me in the face last week, so you should get to this ring. Now, clearly something went wrong with Wrestling Rule 14.8, because even though Jey Uso said Logan Paul's name, out came Paul Heyman. And understandably, Jey was like, I don't like you anymore. You did terrible things to all of my friends. Now, Paul Heyman did tell Jey Uso, I'm not here to disrespect you, but it did make me laugh, because Jey's saying, oh man, I've told CM Punk and Roman Reigns they shouldn't talk to you. It's like when something big happens in wrestling, like a big twist, and there's always that one guy that goes, I knew all along. No, you didn't. It doesn't count after the fact. Heyman totally snapped back, though, because he was like, how dare you accuse me of being on the wrong here, when he went on the most magnificent tirade about how Roman Reigns left him after WrestleMania to get beaten up by the Bloodline 2.0 and only came back to get his Ula Fala and to be the tribal chief, whereas CM Punk, well, he's meant to be his best friend, but he went and put him in a horrible position. All of this was so true, and honestly, you've got to go and watch it. Because at one point I was like, calm down, Paul. I think you're going to have a heart attack, but my gosh, it was pro wrestling gold. When Jey Uso waited for it to calm down, he just went, are you all right? It's quite funny. Heyman then continued saying that being the world champion is all about power and control, and Jey doesn't have the power and control, or Pac, so we're talking about that guy from AEW, who used to be there in WWE, but you know who does have Pac? Well, obviously Pac and Pac-Man, but also Seth Rollins. He then revealed his plan like he was a James Bond villain, because he said part 1 was recruiting Bron Breakker, and number 2 is the World Heavyweight Championship. Now he likes Jey, so he gets to sign his own death warrant and decide when this will go down. When at first he was a bit like, he's title shot, but Heyman always has the information in his pocket. He was like, who won the WrestleMania main event? It was Seth Rollins, so he deserves a title shot. Fair point. Because Jey Uso's a super babyface though, he wiggled and jiggled and said, fine, let's do it tonight. And this crowd went absolutely nuts. Now listen, I don't think anybody believed that he was going to be losing, but there was intrigue in the air, because it's like, well, how the flubber WWE going to get out of this? And actually, they had a good plan. Heyman also found Rollins and Breakker in the back, and Seth was all like, ha ha ha, I knew this plan would work, as if it was a trap. When Paul Heyman went to Braun, do you understand why this is so important? And Breakker was all like, yeah, I think so. And he wasn't allowed to say that, because Paul Heyman then basically became Mr. Exposition and explained the whole thing to him. It was really good though, and this group continues to grow, and if nothing else, in terms of kicking off Raw, it made you think to yourself, man, I want to watch this show, as apparently you got electrocuted by a chair. So all that means, let's gang it up. Penta versus JD McDonaugh was next, and this made sense. They've been screwing each other over for weeks. Now, of course, it was really good, and of course, it was covered in interference. Because, you know, it's a Judgment Day match and they can't help themselves. McDonough was able to give Penta a DVD on the ring apron, which was the hardest part of the ring, when Finn Balor was distracting and Carlito was distracting. But this Finn, maybe accidentally on purpose, over-distracted, and the referee caught him like, oh, why are you doing this to me? You gotta go to the back. Turned out Penta was still gonna be absolutely mugged off, because then Chad Gable was here. But actually, they got rid of him too. I think Chad took it in the nose. When Penta decided, I'm going to boot JD McDonaugh in the face, and he hit the Canadian/Mexican Destroyer. Not going to believe this. He beat somebody with that move. I like it. Now, that doesn't mean I don't also like it when you see 4,622 of them in a row. It all depends what mood I am in and what is going to entertain my tum-tum. But Penta has got the win, and due to this, as we found out later, at WWE Backlash, it's now Penta versus Dominic Mysterio for the Intercontinental title. I find that very interesting. What are we going to do? But honestly, super good times. Grayson Waller was then all worried about his match that he said he was going to have last week. And he was talking to Adam Pearce, and he said, ha, good eye, mate. How about we give it to Austin Theory instead? And apparently Austin Theory is the most confident man ever. He was like, let's go. Now, of course, this is tying into the breakup, which we've now gone back to, which I believed started 18 months ago. So I don't want to be a negative Nancy, but maybe we need to speed it up so it happens before I die. Kathy Kelly also had a quick chat with Karrion Kross, who essentially hinted, haha, maybe I'll go back to Killer Kross. When, yep, Austin Theory had to take on the returning Sheamus. Now, this was treated as a big deal, which is totally lovely, especially in my Tootsie Toes, because I've said for ages the Irishman is super duper underrated, whereas now it finally feels like he's getting his flowers. Theory was also absolutely livid that Grayson had done this to him, although he still did hit a neck breaker. Otherwise, though, he got smashed with the white noise, he got kneed in the face, he got hit with the 10 boots, and Sheamus was like, man, my boot feels good, and he bro-kicked this guy right in the nose, 1, 2, 3. Like it was competitive, Theory still got crushed. So look, this was a massively easy watch because again, Sheamus is so much fun, and Austin Theory's in many ways does not get the credit he deserves either, but we need to pull the trigger on this storyline and just get to Austin Theory versus Grayson Waller, especially because then I think you can make Grayson an even bigger heel, and Austin Theory is just crying out for a babyface turn. That's right, he's going, turn me babyface. But we should give him a go, but I enjoyed it, and that's why I watched the show up. We then zoomed to the back when the Judgment Day and JD McDonaugh was super mad, because he was like, why the flub was that Chad Gable getting involved in my match? He just hates luchadors. This is when AJ Styles walked in, and a really good bit. They were like, well, how did you get in here? It's meant to be a secret. He went, no, not that hard. Also, our truth told me. Point is, he doesn't care about who wins between Penta and Dominic Mysterio at Backlash, because do you know who's going to be next in line? AJ Styles. So something is definitely happening here, and after he had left, Dom was like, Finn, you should chat to him, because he's one of your boys from back in the day. And at first, Balor was like, I will not do anything for you. When he laughed and said, of course I'll sort it out, he is definitely about to get mugged off. The New Day right after this too found Chad Gable, and they were like, we should put our heads together and come up with a plan for the tag team scene. That flub is going on. And I just think we need to get into it when we have a proper feud for the New Day, but we'll get to that in 1 second, because during this, Becky Lynch barged through them all. She was desperate to get to the ring. Now, she is totally baffled that people have made her the bad guy, because when she did return at WrestleMania, everybody cheered her, and nobody cared about Bayley then. So what the flub is going on? Lynch described this as taking out the garbage, and as she taught us, when somebody does take out the garbage, you don't boo her, you don't jeer her, you say, thank you very much for taking out the garbage. And she also took out the recycling, because Lara Valkeria may not be as bad as garbage, but somebody still need to have to whoop her ass. She'd also be nothing without Becky Lynch, because Becky was the reason she got in wrestling in the first place. Surprise, surprise. Lara then walked out. I mean, she was likely offended. Now, she used this against Becky Lynch, because she was all like, well, if anybody is the queen of recycling, it's you, because you've been recycling the same act for years. That was a pretty good line. That doesn't matter, though, because whether Becky thinks it or not, she had nothing to do with Lara getting in the business. And let's face it, when you're not here, everybody gets better. That's when Bex went, yeah, it's because I've raised the bar so high, nobody compete. I was like, man, this is a good promo off. Valkyria also knows that Lynch is just upset because she has defended the IC Championship more than Becky has been at work. I was like, Lara, I get what you're going for here. That ain't the best diss. You have not defended that belt very much. Lynch then made it clear that it's not her job to be friends with everybody and it is her job to beat everyone. Let's look at what Sports Illustrated said. They essentially told her she was the GOAT. Now, Lyra's great here, because she kind of laughed it off like, oh yeah, well, great. Let's listen to Sports Illustrated. Ultimately, I know you want this title, and it eats you up inside, it's mine. So she's just going to have to accept that when Lyra's around, Becky's going to be number 2. So Lynch jumped at her. Then we should get a bit worried, or you should do if you're a Lara Valkeria fan, because Lara laid her out with the Nightwing on a show before the pay-per-view. I do believe she's losing that belt. I think the true highlight, though, is that this kind of feels like we're testing Lara Valkeria here, and man, she has met it at the gates like I can handle this, and she should lose at Backlash, and then we should build her, and we should build the title, and we should continue to tell you that Becky Lynch is the best. So there's a ton of potential here. I think they hit a home run, and I am most definitely giving it an up. Roxanne Perez then decided she would go back in time because she cut the most 1987 promo ever. But I tell you, she's got her cadence down now so she can get away with anything. And also, she was taking on flipping Iyo Sky. Roxanne has most definitely been watching wrestling in 2025 as well, because when Eio Sky went for a dive, she totally missed. She also started to kick Iyo Sky in the leg, which was going to tie in, when of course Iyo was doing dives, and Roxanne was doing dives, and you know the reason, 2025. The thing is though, when Iyo tried to do a springboard, Perez kicked her in the leg again. I was like, Matt, you really hate that walking device. Iyo was able to shake things up with an arm drag off the middle, which was really good, but when she hit a drop kick, you're not going to believe this, her leg still wasn't working. So I was like, well, how the hell is she going to be able to get past that? Turned out that it was super easy, barely an inconvenience, because she was able to hit the German suplex. But once again, she wasn't able to get the moonsault because Roxanne Perez, say it with me, went after the leg. Now Perez decided she would hit her with a knee when she was like, man, I'm going to hit you with the most devastating move. In all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up. But Iyo Sky is the more experienced of the two. She reversed it. She got her own surprise roll-up. 1, 2, 3. WWE's second favorite finish. Thing is though, it just worked, and afterwards Roxanne Perez shook Iyo Sky's hand, which was a terrible idea because Julia appeared from nowhere. Both of them as a pair beat up Iyo Sky, and nobody came to save our women's champion because apparently she has no friends. I mean, she did have one friend in Dakota Kai. Another reason why releasing her was pretty stupid. Now, of course, Rhea Ripley would have been in this spot, but we were told she's in Australia promoting the Crown Jewel event, which is going down later in the year. And I think it got announced later, we are doing the big tag team match next week. I actually think it's quite good. As with this match, Roxanne Perez and Julia are doing so good on Raw, we should probably call them up properly tomorrow. Anna Pierce was there talking to the War Raiders, who have been totally mugged off post-WrestleMania. When Chad Gable was in the corner, just being men. The New Day were there as well, and everybody started to argue. And essentially it got decided, I think next week too, it's going to be the War Raiders versus the Creeds, and the winners will be the #1 contenders. I want to be that guy, but what the flub have the Creeds done in order to get this shot? All they do is lose. And the end bit here was really good, because as Chad was leaving, Adam Pearce went, "See you later, Americano," and he turned around. You could see it on his face. He was like, I'm not El Grande Americano. That was an accident. Adam also wished him Cinco de Mayo. Chad Gable was like, gracias. So I just thought that was a little bit of a funny, tying back into all of that. But ultimately, I am going to give it a down because, listen, all these teams are good, but it just feels like we're doing the same thing over and over again. We need to find some great opponents for the New Day and give them a proper feud because they are all-time legends and they can handle more. I just don't think we're living up to the potential here. So I am going to give it a down. When I had the best time. Because listen, I love Otis. I love Tozawa. But who I love the most is Rusev. And he came out and he crushed. I mean, even when Otis knocked the Bulgarian brute to the outside, they were just hurling each other into Alan the announce table. And essentially, if you do want to break it down, it was big men slapping man meat. They were also using Rita the Ring post when Rusev just went nope and he booted Otis right in the head when he applied the accolade, and that was it. Otis was done. I wouldn't call it a squash match, but my word, he whooped his butt. He, of course, wouldn't let go of the submission hold because he is a heel when Tozawa got in there. And Tozawa's plan was, I'm going to take my top off. I was like, Toz, I'm a big fan of you, but what are you doing? Because, of course, Rusev absolutely powerbombed him to death when he reapplied the accolade. So it took around about 8 minutes, and my whole tum-tum told me, my gosh, do I love Rusev. So he really is just great, and the entrance is awesome too, and I know his new music isn't as good as his old music, but at the same time, I just enjoyed this wild ride. So here's my dude, I don't know why, but I think he's always going to be, and I think he should be in some kind of title picture sooner rather than later. I am giving it an up. What an effective way to reintroduce the character. And it appears they totally forgot that Gunther had tried to kill Pat McAfee because he was all like, oh, hi, why don't you both get in the ring? Now, actually, Gunther made it clear, listen, I'm not going to attack you, Pat, because I'm a professional, unlike you and Michael Cole, so I'm going to save your death till Saturday. Now, McAfee took offense to him saying bad words against Michael Cole, and he was like, man, he's been doing this since before he was born. He's only missed 3 days, and we should all respect him. Their player, we got a Michael Cole chart. He also started talking about the location, mostly because he was a babyface, when he said, hey man, you and me aren't too dissimilar. We were kids watching wrestling on TV, and both of us had a dream. Now, of course, nobody can take anything away from Gunther either, because he has been the champion 80% of the time he has been with WWE. But from Pat McAfee's point of view, he's gotten too used to this, and he's gotten way too comfortable. That's why he lost to Sami Zayn, and that's why he lost to Jey Uso, but it's not the same for Pat McAfee, because he still bleeds pro wrestling. When he turns up to a building, he is super duper pumped. McAfee then compared Gunther to his waltzing around stage, which was a shot, of course it was, because man, you ain't that guy anymore. Maybe, just maybe, you've lost it. Now, Pat was really good here. He knows how to cut a promo, but I do have to say, even though it did tie into the story with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, it was also a bit like going, they couldn't have beat you if you weren't off your game, so we accidentally mugged off Sami and Jey. Gunther was also so damn mad after he lost that World Championship, he tried to murder these two. so I do not believe for 1 second he feels like he's gotten comfortable. Gunther then totally wrecked Pat McAfee using emotion though, because he was like, wasn't it your second daughter's birthday at the weekend? I bet that was special. Well, do you know what's going to be special for me? Killing you on Saturday. It's also his first match since WrestleMania, so he's going to maul Pat. That's right, he said maul, when essentially he said, once I lock you in the choke, you're gonna die. I'm gonna kill you, and only the powers that be will be able to save you. Gunther then held the mic to the floor and stormed to the back. Honestly, this was brilliant, and this was so good. And while Pat McAfee certainly held his own, I think when we get to Backlash, this essentially has to be a squash match. Because Gunther just took himself, and man, he leveled himself up to the point he's probably broken the game. This was absolutely brilliant. So yes, aside from some accidentally insults, this was actually a really good battle, which is like the third one on this show, including Paul Heyman and Jey Uso, and everything between Becky Lynch and Lara Valkeria. And now I want to see what's going to happen at the weekend, but once again, it's got me excited for everything we're going to do at Backlash. That's the whole point, man. When we got to our main event, which was Jey Uso versus Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, if you couldn't get excited about that, you're probably that guy, and you should probably take a break from wrestling. Of course, Jey hit a dive because 2025 early on, but when Seth Rollins recovered from under the announce table, that mother hubbard was bleeding. He still used him as a turnbuckle, who was having a terrible day when Jey Uso came back with the Samoan drop. Don't worry, I checked, it's okay, he is Samoan. Seth then wanted to dive, but Jey Uso caught him with a super kick. And I know we've seen this 4,762 times, but for some reason, every single time, it's just awesome. Rollins then missed the splash of the flogs, but still hit that spear into pedigree move, which is always good. When Jey Uso decided, you know what I'm going to bash out for the first time since WrestleMania? That's a poor choice of words, the choke. I guess that does make sense. That's how he won the belt. We then got a great 1-2 after a spear when they essentially knocked each other off the top rope. With this, Seth Rollins knew what he was doing. Accidentally on purpose, he knocked him to the referee. I was like, here we go, shenanigans. Braun Breaker, of course, instantly got involved, and because Jey had to go fight him off, boom. Seth Rollins hit the Superplex Falcon Arrow, he got the curb stomp, and I tell you, man, the 1-2 after that. And of course, because Braun was being a dick, who came out to make the save and jumped off barricade? It was Sami Zayn. Now, this was the time that Jey Uso was able to take advantage, and he hit the Uso splash, and Seth Rollins kicked out of that, so it was a WrestleMania main event. And then I was laughing at Sami Zayn because he had been speared multiple times last week, so somebody had put tape around his tum-tum. I mean, I'm sure that really protected him. Breaker was so damn pissed though, he eventually speared Sami Zayn, and Jey was so worried he went to check on him. But that was dumb, because that's what happened. Jey Uso got speared. Oh no. Heyman was then full on distracting here, and my gosh, Seth Rollins hit the curb stomp. And this was sold like Jey Uso is dead. Jey Uso is not going to get kicked out. There's nothing he's going to do. We're going to have a new champion. And just before Seth was able to make the pin, CM Punk's music hit, and this place blew up. Oh, it was just such a great reaction, and look, yes, once again, WWE does rely way too much on these kind of finishes, but in this instant, my gosh, it worked. He had a chair too, and he made sure to blast Braun Breaker when he went after Seth Rollins as well. And look, the referee did throw this out, but he forgot to ring the bell. So I guess somewhere in Nebraska, it is still going on. It does count as a disqualification though, and CM Punk just went nuts here. When Sami Zayn was like, all right, do you need to calm down? I think we should probably check on Jey Uso. We also had this final shot though of Punk and Sami Zayn standing next to each other. So if Roman Reigns is taking the next few months off, as it has been rumored, maybe it's going to be these two guys in the tag, and they're going to take on Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker, maybe even a Backlash. I mean, it wasn't announced, but you don't know. There was more to this too as well, because when Jey Uso was celebrating, Logan Paul punched him in the face. And look, this happened after Raw, but they showed it on social media, so we got to get to that too. We really can't fault this though, and Seth Rollins' group had to go after the title sooner rather than later, given what they were talking about. And now we have set the seeds for something massive, and I always enjoy it when storylines click like this. The Ghostbusters were wrong in that regard. You should cross the streams up. Which brought us to an excellent go-home episode of Raw 4 Backlash, because we have taken every single match and got this bald idiot excited. I'm sure some of you are excited too, so you should watch it if you can. Up. Now, of course, please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Leave me a comment below and tell me where I went wrong, and maybe where I went right too, and click the video on the screen, because it will be more of my stupid ups and downs opinions. Otherwise, my friends, thank you so much for supporting me as always, and for everyone that supported me over the weekend at Progress. It was very nice. You can catch it on Triller, should you want to watch it. Otherwise, I'll see you soon. Have a great week.